evening, everybody. How's it
Hello.
How's
going?
it going?
What's up?
So, how was your guys this weekend?
Worked. Literally,
Yes.
that was it.
Surviving the heat. Was busy with some stuff all announced at the end.
Right on. Ed?
Got to see some family. Family visited from North Carolina. I live in
Nice.
New York, so it's always fantastic.
Ooh, that's a
getting to
long
see
drive.
family. Long drive.
Long drive. Yeah, I've made that a couple times.
Yes.
Mr. Nedrow, how was yours?
It was really good. I did some work, and then a buddy called yesterday and invited himself over to swim. So, yeah, it was good.
Outstanding. How's your guys' heat where you're at?
Humid.
Hot.
Humid? Yeah.
Yeah. In the 90s, feels like it's in the hundreds.
Same.
Yeah.
Same here. Good old Georgia. Yes. But so we'll do the formal introductions. Ed Hellman is the owner and operator of the Devil's Bargain Toys, correct?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. And Mr. Bill Nedrow is a amazing author that has done many books for many different toy lines, correct?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of working with a few really great IPs.
Awesome. Very excited to get to talk to you and get started with this. So let's take a look at the collab, or not the collab, sorry, the comments. We have Betty Ray Bob, thanks for
Hey,
joining us. Chris Sizemore.
Boo.
Zach Smith, what's up, man?
What's up, Zach?
Nico,
How's
thanks
it
for
going, Zach?
joining us.
There you go.
Hey.
Domesticated Caveman, what's happening?
Yeah.
Let's see, Die Hard 3.75.
Oh,
Nice.
cool.
Thanks for joining us. Let's see.
Oh,
No, we're trying
Zayma.
to say that I know it's a Tomax, and I never was able
Zaymont.
to say his brother.
Zaymont.
Zaymont. There we go. Rogue.
Yeah,
Hi, your
Zaymont.
buddy.
Zaymont. Okay. I don't want to mess it up. So let's see. Alberto, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, cool. Hey, Alberto.
Tripping Toys, as always. Thank you,
Trippin'.
sir.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just watched stream. Had to replay this week. Hell of a weekend at work. Let's see.
Bob was nice enough to film our panel at Joe Fest.
Awesome. Jabalong in Toy City. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. Thank you for watching the replay. Awesome. We got Green Geek. Thanks for joining us.
Green.
Mudscoffer, South Georgia boy. Yeah. Let's see. We got Ed. Thank you, Ed. And I will be on Latin Legions on the 13th for his birthday show. Very excited about that.
Happy early birthday.
And
Yeah, happy birthday.
Michael Hefner, thank
Oh,
you for
hey,
joining
Michael.
us. All
I had a
right.
good time talking with Michael at Joe Fest. He's a great guy.
Excellent. There's a lot of people at Joe Fest. A lot of people. I mean, last year was good size, but this year it just seemed like twice as many people were there, and twice as many toy lines, and it was nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it seems to be
but-
growing every year.
Yeah, and that's good. I'd like to see that one grow. I have to get out to the DFW one. I haven't been to that one yet. But I wouldn't mind. And then Joe Lanta, correct? That one's earlier in the year. I haven't gone to that one yet either. So those are
That's in
definitely on my.
September.
Is it September? So I haven't missed that one yet.
Yeah, I think it's coming up.
Okay, cool. I got to mark the calendar because I think I am definitely going to try to go to that one. But without further ado, gentlemen, tell us about yourselves.
Oh, crap. Okay. Yeah, I'm Ed. I have been a big customizer for a long time, and kind of was very interested in doing my own toy line many years ago, and was trying to figure out what to do at grad school, and kind of danced around the idea of toy design, but found very quickly that I had no idea what I was doing. And so I went into a different line of work for many years. And then when I went to JoeCon and was really blown away by the community there, and it was unfortunately it was the final JoeCon, which is how these things happen. But it was this weird time, I felt like, where Hasbro was kind of letting the 4-inch line go, and JoeCon was ending, and then JoeFest was starting, and all these indie lines were emerging, and a lot of them were by people like John Russell, or now Chad and Matt Smeltzer from the Whiskey Jack toys. Those were all people that I kind of idolized growing up and followed as a customer. And so, getting to see what they would create and getting my hands on something that they made was really exciting. And I ended up kind of befriending a bunch of these people and kind of weaseling my way into the industry, and started doing freelance toy design for Fresh Monkey Fiction. And then after a while was able to sort of parlay that into doing my own figures with Bill from Fresh Monkey's help, and have been really blessed to continue that as Devil's Bargain Toys.
That's awesome. That is really awesome, especially working with a large company like that, helping you get your feet on the ground and get it out there and get you started with everything.
Fresh Monkey is phenomenal. I mean, like, they're now partnered, with Big Bad Toy Store and do Big Bad Workshop. I always say Big Bad Toy Works, so I gotta mix it in my head. But they really champion indie creators. Like, they really care about it, and it's been very heartwarming and impressive. And the amount of support that I've gotten from them, they didn't have to do by any means. And Bill has just really opened his arms and given tons of advice. And even I was talking to John Russell from Chicken Fried Toys today, and he's like, call me, this community is great, supporting each other. So I feel very lucky. And now working with Bill and Nedrow, I feel doubly lucky.
That's awesome. So Bill, give us your story, sir.
My name is Bill Nedrow, and I am a toy addict, as you probably could surmise. I got really lucky in that my first few novels were set in the G.I. Joe universe, and had some really great success with those through the Amazon Kindle publishing initiative. So that was where I kind of made my name on the scene. Was able to do four novels and 3 novellas set in that universe. That really opened up a lot of other doors for me. After that, I did a novel for Marauder Task Force, which was a lot of fun. I did about 7 comics, and then a novel for Valaverse, Bobby Vala's Action Force line.
Okay.
And then I was working on another project that probably can't talk about right now, but it took me into a world that aligned with some things that I saw that Ed was doing. I met Ed last year at JoeFest. So we were lucky enough to start a relationship, and we were working on a Bible for this universe that they're creating, which is just fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'd say a couple months ago, he started talking about how he might want to expand the universe a little more. And like I said, I've been working with him on the Bible. So I pitched him an idea, and I was lucky enough that he liked it. So we're moving forward, and it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, playing in the universe that they've created, and these characters that they've kind of shaped and put in some really cool situations.
That's a cool story. That is. So when you're young, like when you're kids collecting toys and playing with them, and having them in your hands. Did you ever think that you guys were going to be here at one point in time? Like you developing toys and you writing the stories for these figures?
Do you want to answer that one first?
You go first. You go first.
Okay. Yes and no. I mean, I'd always seen myself as a writer. So I believe that when I got older, I would be writing stories and using my imagination to kind of entertain other people. I didn't think that I'd get the opportunity to work with so many cool properties that I grew up loving. So that's been the thrill for me, is to take that imagination that I had as a kid and these scenarios and then be able to kind of share them with people and find that they really kind of have gravitated towards them, which has really been gratifying. The first novel I put out, I had no idea whether people would read. Everybody, especially with G.I. Joe, everybody has their own kind of universe and their own kind of take, and they can be very varied, right? All the way from grounded kind of militaristic fiction, which is kind of what I do, all the way to Cobra La and Manimals and So when I put that one out, it was kind of a leap of faith. I had no idea kind of how people would react, and it was really gratifying to see that people really kind of took to my version and my interpretation of the lore. And then, like I said, that's just opened up so many other doors for so many other cool IPs that, I still get those figures, and the first thing I want to do is handle them and figure out how they fit in with the other characters I have and what missions I would put them on if I were still going to my buddy's house and getting down on the floor and playing with them. So it's just been a fun extension of that, really, in some ways.
Bill, did you just tease a Bulletman Manimals crossover? Is that what you're doing?
What's one of the fun things in working with the universe that you've created is that I kind of got pigeonholed into kind of very realistic military fiction. But your universe enables me to it wouldn't be impossible to envision that in what you've created, right? So in some ways the shackles are off and a little bit more imagination can take place, which is fun.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm always kind of like wondering how you're going to pull all these pieces together. You've done it so well so far. So we're going to add Snorks in, I think, next. That's what the fans want. 6-inch Snorks.
I loved the Snorks more than the Smurfs as a kid.
Yeah. I wanted that T-shirt, the blue and white T-shirt with the stars.
Yeah. Yes. All Stars T-shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Loved it.
I had no concept of being able to do any sort of toy line. I think I spent a lot of time on the floor playing with my toys with like Scotch tape and just putting things together and telling stories with them. And I went to film school and grad school for film and worked in film for a long time in the commercial world, and definitely did not see myself ever doing any sort of anything professionally in the toy world, even in the indie side of it. And so I think what really blew me away was how welcoming the community was, and how, once I sort of dipped my toes into it, how I was able to build on that. And certainly I did not expect my first figure to do well, or the second figure to do well, or anyone to have any interest in any of the stories that I kind of was crafting around them. No idea I was going to do anything like this. But I think that life, like as you get older, you start realizing how much, you don't have a career, you have a whole bunch of careers sort of, or things that sort of weave together. And so I can totally see the building blocks that were in place that I'm sort of touching on now. But, at the time, I would have never thought that they were actually anything that was sturdy or would come into play later.
I think what's cool about the time... Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think what's really cool about the time that we're living in right now is that we have so many more tools than we did when we were, living in the 80s and begging our parents to buy us $2 action figures. I mean, you guys have this avenue to kind of speak to your fans all the time, and we have these conventions we can go to and meet these really cool people who are supportive of these creative endeavors. I've been getting big into 3D printing, so I'm starting to be able to make play sets and things that I would have had to hope that Kenner or Hasbro would make.
Crossing your fingers.
Yeah, and I mean, like Ed said, we'd be making things with little plastic bottles and tape to simulate scenery or barrier, and now we can, we can make movies, or we can build action figures and find these communities that would have been impossible to find 20, 30 years ago. So it's a really exciting time.
I remember
this comment. Sorry, it's kind of like this comment. You're speaking of figures we want. A badass Spec Ops Smurf.
Oh no!
Commando
What have we
Hefty.
started?
Commandos.
I am ready to see that.
Bill Murphy, if you ever see this, if you're watching, that's up your alley.
Sniper Smurf.
Wait a minute. Before Bill Murphy works on that, I saw him in an interview where someone suggested in the Monster Force line an Ed the Hellman figure. I'm really hoping he devotes his attention to that first.
It's going to be a merge with that and a snork or something. I was just thinking about how, when I moved to New York, I started going to New York Comic Con, and I haven't been in many years, but I remember being kind of blown away at how accessible all the artists were. I didn't have it, like, for comics. I really didn't expect the world to be so accessible, and then it sort of continued even more so with toys, where I was just so used to thinking about anything I was interested in being like movies, where you're just so far away from the people making them, and you can just like hope to be in the same room at a distance, and then you go to these things and you're like talking to them and they recognize you, and suddenly you're messaging them online at 3 a.m. and harassing them.
Yeah, it's crazy. But Beta Ray Bob says it's cool that what used to be professional only editing software can now run on your laptop for free.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like you said, Bill, the tools that we have nowadays compared to what we had back then. Back then was paper, pens, and typewriters. Now we have word processors, computers, phones. Hell, I mean, even your watches can type stuff out now.
Yep.
So I mean,
text to speech.
Yeah, I mean,
you just talk it, it does it for you.
The technology is just opened up, I think, so many doors for people that never thought they would have an avenue into any of this, from toy photography to writing to creating your own figures in your own line. It's definitely one of the biggest things that I think this community helps build is through these relationships, we can make our dreams come true that we never thought were possible before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just excited that I get to work with the guy that created Stiletto, and whose book I read, and the Valor's. I read a bunch of your stuff.
Dead man.
Dead man. Thanks.
I remember being so excited when that Stiletto came out and being like, a fan made this, and it's such a cool character. And
and that's a cool thing. That I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it was really several weeks, but eventually I got sick of getting kicked out of Toys R Us because I was costing people in the aisles, and see that who did that? Bill, we know, Bill. You have to leave.
No, I don't.
We're going to tell Jeffrey, please don't.
I have kind of a funny story about that. Mark Weber was the brand manager at the time, and he called me that night and told me that my character had won. So I can't tell anybody yet because we won't reveal it yet. But I wanted to let you know that you were the winner. I said, well, can I tell my wife? And he said, yeah, you can tell your wife. So for about 10 minutes, I was just bouncing off the walls. Right, the greatest I felt like I was the most important thing on earth. About 10 minutes later, one of my kids got sick and almost made it to the toilet, but didn't. So I went from thinking I was something really, really special to then on my hands and knees cleaning up the the floors, and that kind of put me back in my place and reminded me that, like, calm down, Bill. You're just
You said take the superhero level to a different, different level. Yeah,
brought me right back down to earth. So
But I mean,
I know it sounds like you're someone that just made a cool toy and also is a good dad. So
yeah, that a superhero on many different levels right there. But I think it's really cool that these toy companies are reaching out to their fans and things like that, and taking their input they get from them and then creating what that fan sees into something that's tangible and real. And again, something back in the day nobody thought they would have an Avenue Toys, and now we do. And again, that's the beauty of this community. It's become something of a way for us to relive our childhood as adults now and become kids again and get rid of all those stresses that we feel during life and have those brief moments. You had 10 minutes of saying, holy cow, look what happened. This is cool. Back to real life with the child.
Right. Well,
But
what was I mean, you talk about community. What was real interesting about that experience was there were 4 authors whose characters were entered into that contest.
mm-hmm.
It would have been real easy for us because we all wanted it. And they were great. All 4 of them were great designs, great characters.
Right.
So I don't know, it might have been real easy for us to kind of get bitter or competitive or somehow take that out on each other. But
Yeah.
That whole experience really brought us together. We were commiserating the whole time and talking about what we were doing, and even afterwards, after the winner had been announced, we collaborated on a 4-part writing project, and we still stay in contact today, all 4 of us. So yeah, it's always more about community than it is about pieces of plastic, right? And that's what I've found as I've gotten older and engaged in this hobby more and more.
It's like when one of us wins, we all win because we can collaborate like that, and then we are there to support each other and pump each other up and celebrate everybody's wins, because sometime down the line it might be one of their wins and the favor is going to be returned. And that's an amazing part of like the toy community and the collectors community and all these conventions, and going to them and seeing how many people get together. And like, I never thought I would get to meet you, Ed, or you, Bill, and it was awesome meeting you. Now look where you're at. You're on our show. This is awesome. We get to know you, and then we get to share you guys with the community for even further out, and just showing the benefits of being a positive member of this community and staying that way. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, I've talked enough. You two, come on, take it up. Lights, gold member.
Well, first of all,
Go ahead. No, gold. You take.
I was just saying, first of all, I love the name Devil's Bargain Toys. Where did you come up with that? Because I run the Devil's Toys, and I'm just like, again, you can tell by the cup.
Damn, that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, hey, if anyone hears the guy that asked the devil question, it's me. I'm qualified.
It's really sad because I don't remember. I think I just I was coming up with 1,000 names, and I had a film company for a while. I remember I just like barreled through like 1,000 names until we landed on one that sort of worked. And then for this, I just kept trying stuff, and then you just get to that one that clicks, and I was like, all right, there it is. And then somehow it sticks with you. So I wish I had a better answer, but I feel like it was maybe a fever dream. I don't know.
That's like the best answer.
Yeah, it just
hit me. We ran with it. That's awesome.
It's imaginative.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess not everything needs some deep like. Well, I was in a thrift store and I saw this little tiny vending machine devil toy and was like, "Wow, that's a bargain." No.
That's kind of what I was kind of thinking of. I was like, it could play both ways, but yeah,
it's a great name.
That's a pretty good origin story on the fly. I'm impressed.
Thank you. You're welcome to use that, Ed. Welcome to use it.
Job Along in
Trademark.
Toy City says Chicken Fried Toys makes figures with head sculpts of fans in the community. Something that we never could have imagined as kids.
Heck yeah.
I have a personal experience with one of those. One of those head sculpts is based on Joe Ryan, who was a great member of the community for a number of years. Many may know him as Joe Rhino online. He was a good friend with John. Unfortunately, we lost him a couple of years ago. So, that figure is near and dear to my heart, just because I look at that and I see a really good friend that I lost. And it's great that stuff like that is out there as kind of a tribute to members of our community.
To immortalize them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that with Broma, at Joe Fest also, and Gary Goggles, and I feel like it's happened enough times now that it's like become like it's part of it's like a ritual that the community goes through at some point, which everyone's kind of, it's really special.
Yeah, you get these, major names in the community that have been so special to everybody. Why not immortalize them in, what they love, the action figures and the toy lines and things like that. I mean, that's seems like a perfect way to always have that person around.
I think probably not a lot of people know this, but that person, Joe Rhino, he's ended up in a couple different IPs. I had written, like I said, about 7 issues for Bobby Valaverse. One probably maybe my second favorite issue that I got to write was the one that featured Sergeant Slaughter. And in it, he kind of interacts with some civilians. So unbeknownst to me, Bobby knew that Joe was sick. And so when he gave my pages to the artist, he told the artist to make one of those background characters based on Joe as well. So I didn't know that was happening. Joe suddenly sent me a page that I hadn't seen before. And I was like, oh, wow, this is the page I wrote. And then I got to that panel and I was like, oh my gosh, that's you. So
that's awesome.
Joe snuck into a couple different IPs, which is kind of cool.
That is so cool. What has been like your most memorable experience during this whole journey of yours? Both of you.
Are you saying the journey working with Ed in particular, or
the journey altogether? Your journey altogether. Like, what is the one thing that stands out to you the most? I mean, you guys are both very accomplished in your crafts. So what is that one defining moment that sticks out in your head that every time you think, when you're having a down day, you think, man, am I really able to do this? What's that one thought that comes in your head that clicks you back into place and sets you back on the path again?
I think for me, there's been a few, but one of them was the initial success of my first novel, First Salvo. It represented kind of a watershed moment in my life because I had called myself an author for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. And I would write, I just wouldn't finish anything and I wouldn't show anything to anybody. You know, I'd read it and I'd question it and I'd scrap it or I'd start over. I spent years telling myself I was a writer, but not actually finishing writing. So that experience forced me to finish something and put it out there. And then, of course, like I said, I had no idea how people would react. I could have thrown it out into the universe and people could have said, like, what is this? This is garbage. So it was really gratifying to me to see the response and build the following that I did and get the feedback that I did and have people really kind of encourage me to go on, because otherwise I think I hope not, but maybe I'd still be today caught in the same cycle. And Ed mentioned parroting. That's not the example I wanted to leave my kids. I want to teach them that you got to put yourself out there and take risks, and that they can be rewarding when you do.
And failure always leads to success eventually.
Absolutely.
That first step is always the hardest
Mm-hmm.
because you want everything to be perfect, but everyone starts somewhere, and
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone's version of perfect is different.
exactly.
Agreed.
I think for me, I think a few things also, but one is one at Joe Fest this year actually, and there were just several instances, like I was saying, where I was having dinner with or hanging out with people whose work I had really admired, and or I'd get a text from somebody who, like I said, the guys from Whiskey Jack, who I saw them and they recognized me, and I was like, oh my god, like you know who I am, like I'm like I'm not going to tell you that I like was obsessed with your website in middle school, but I was, but like the fact that they were thinking of me in some capacity, and then I could break bread with them and hang out with them. It's really special and like meant a lot. And then also there's been a few instances, I mean, like, my figures have been very limited runs, so like it's not like a lot have gone out, but there have been a few instances where I've gotten like an email or like a Facebook message from someone who shows me a picture of like their kid with the toy and like how much their kid loves the toy, and I'm like, okay, maybe that collector knows that I'm like an indie toy maker and it's like, not like a big line and it's a collector's thing. But like to that kid, it's just a toy and they're really loving that toy. And it's no different than the Hasbro toy or whatever. And so like the fact that something that I created is being enjoyed, by a kid or, an adult, is crazy. That's crazy. And that's really special. I'm used to just, enjoying them on my shelf or being my worst critic and saying, I could have done that differently. I could have tweaked that more. I wish I was a better painter or whatever. So to have anyone like it is awesome.
I mean, when
I
a
think
kid gets
we all
when
go
that
through
kid gets older, they're going to look back and be like, "Man, I wish I could find that toy I had as a kid," and like you're going to be a part of their nostalgia.
Well, their mom
Like
threw it away, so
yeah, their mom made them sell it to get a new toy or something.
it was worth so much on eBay.
Yeah,
Just don't be like me. Hope they're not like me as a kid and blow up my GI Joes and Star Wars figures.
Hey,
I was a
whatever they
dumb
gotta
kid.
Whatever they got to do, melt that thing.
Yeah, I was having fun. I was telling a story, and it needed explosions and fire, and me getting yelled at afterwards. So.
What's the story? Everyone died. The end. Boom.
No, it had to have that epic ending. The hero walking away with the explosion in the back. I just had the hero a little bit too close to that explosion, and he flew instead of walked away. So it happens. It happens.
What about for you guys?
So,
I'm curious for you as a collector. What has been like a big defining moment?
lights.
like are you asking for like the toy community of like what we do as like photographers and stuff, or just like finding a toy in the
I would
wild or
say
something?
more open-ended, a moment that as a collector or in this, working within this, hobby, as a photographer or, as someone who collects, what a moment that sort of you didn't expect to happen.
Being able to come on this show as a guest. Or just like no, I mean no, for real. Like I came on the show as a guest and then they just kept letting me appear and then I became a co-host. And through this, it's opened up a lot of different doors that I don't think I would have gotten to had I not. Um, and then just having an excuse to buy toys and not have my wife yell at me or
It's for work,
as
I
much.
swear.
Yeah. Or just the friends I've made in this community that I wouldn't have made had I not started an Instagram account 5 years ago or whatever. That stuff. It's more about the people,
Yeah.
not so much the toys.
So you're okay selling all the toys?
Or better yet, give it to me.
85%. 85%. I got to keep my mezcos.
Ooh, okay.
Wait, weren't we promised some of his collection for coming on tonight? Wasn't that?
I
Yeah.
believe so. I believe so.
And
You
his
know
I
card.
thought
what?
it
And his
was,
card.
I've got a lot of Todd McFarlane figures I can give you.
I was promised 1/12 Mezco, so I was told the blank. So
Okay, we'll see. We'll talk after the show.
All right, so Ed, there's a question for you.
oh
Thanks
shit.
to some very incredible people in the community, I was able to get my hands on Black Jet, and I'm excited to get my hands on Bullet Man. What changes will the new one have?
Oh sure. Yeah, happy to answer that. I would say that if you're at all worried about these changes drastically affecting a figure that you weren't able to get but want to get, you will not be disappointed. I would say the changes are very minor. They're things that, like I said, someone who is constantly feeling like they could have done a little bit better and it wasn't quite where they wanted to. That's where I'm kind of coming from. So things like the red will be slightly different shade of red. And it'll actually match the figures that are in the upcoming wave for the Shields of Liberty. The logo is slightly adjusted to be a little cleaner, a little higher res. It'll come with some extra accessories like unmasked head, a few other extra things for Black Jet. He'll come with different Sky Pirate heads because I just felt like, if we're going to add more Sky Pirates, it'd be more fun to sort of mix it up a little bit for people that already had the figure and then have ones that are just as good if you didn't have the figure. Different cape for Black Jet. Same red, but it'll actually close differently, much closer to the Amazing Heroes cape, hopefully, that Fresh Monkey did, which doesn't have that sort of classic Kenner clasp in the back, but instead sort of goes across the front and just looks a little bit cooler. So stuff like that, stuff like just seeing if the factory can tweak, the faces slightly in the paint apps. That's all, So nothing to worry about.
It's like a
So-
remaster.
Yes.
Okay.
And to answer,
Fogger 1138 asked, Black Jet is choice. Is the BBTS release going to come with all the heads?
I'm still sort of planning that out. I would say that he'll come with a bunch of heads. He'll probably come with the masked head, an unmasked head, and then a few Sky Pirates. But they'll be different Sky Pirate heads. They'll be the same head. It'll just be different paint apps. So like different skin color, different mustache, stuff like that.
He said the answer is yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
and to answer,
All right. So in
Dan-
the chat, we have. Go ahead.
I was going to answer. I know you asked the question earlier about defining, moment. Yeah. Again, much like Light said, coming on this show is definitely a huge part of it. But I think the thing that really got the whole snowball effect was when Dead Man asked me to join Toy Marks with us, or he recruited me to his group, Toy Marks. Because then I started getting into the community, because before I hardly spoke to anybody. I just posted, and through doing that, you find cooler toys, you make good friends, and just like, learning about editing and doing stuff from Lights and stuff, you improve. It just a lot of big steps ever since that. So
That's a great answer. Sorry for putting you guys on the spot and turning it around. I was just
man.
very curious. And Don, I'd be
it's
first to hear you too.
No.
Let's see.
It was a good question.
Well, Don asked
Zach,
it. So.
Zach says, definitely meeting all the amazing people more than the toys. I never would have met you guys without toy photography.
Yep.
Love Zach. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Let's see. Domesticated Caveman says, definitely the peeps. I could sit home and take photos all day long of figs, but the peeps are what put the fun over the top.
Yep.
Love Caveman as well. He's a good dude.
Yep. Both of them. It's been a joy being part of that group chat.
Yeah, again, two members of this community that are nothing but filled with positive attitudes and positive encouragement to everybody that's in the group and outside the group. Again, they're two shining examples of us working together as a community, building each other up, pushing each other and just showing, support whenever somebody is like, oh, this photo is crap. No, it's not. Da, 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 but giving tips and hints on how to make it better, and not doing it in a negative way. Not saying, yeah, it is crap. Don't put that up. It's good. It's working. It's try this lighting or try this pose. It's everybody working, with the community to make each other, excel and become better. As a community, not as individuals. The way I see this community should work.
Yeah, agreed.
I
Not to
imagine-
do a hard segue, but I really want to learn more about their toys. And
Oh, we're on our way there.
we are? Okay.
All right, go ahead, Bill.
Well, just going back to the community, I think that people outside the community, what they wouldn't understand is that when we come together, we're all just having fun doing stuff we love, right? And people just bringing joy and happiness to that when they meet everybody, and they just naturally kind of want to share that good feeling and like you said, build people up and give constructive criticism instead of breaking people down. And we're all just sharing a love of something we have and having fun with each other, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of having fun, let's take a look at some of these figures that you're going to be
Thank
producing.
Sorry, I jumped
Here's
the
the
gun.
first one.
Sure.
Tell us about Bullet Man. Is this Bullet Man?
Yeah. So this is the 2023 Joe Fest exclusive Bullet Man, or the Bullet Man. Bill Murphy from Fresh Monkey loves public domain characters, and I was just a big fan of like all the iterations of the Bullet Man or Bullet Man, through the years, going all the way back to Fawcett Comics, back in the golden age. And I just thought it was like a really ridiculous idea, this character that had like a bullet for a helmet. I thought it was like there was
That is
something
amazing.
Yeah, it was just like a very adorable, ridiculous idea. I kind of assumed he just like flew into people, and it just was fun. And so Bill kind of said like, "What would like?" He was kind of thinking of maybe of doing a Bullet Man or something. He kind of said like, "How would you do it? Like, you've done like 100 like Bullet Man customs at this point. Like, what would you do?" And I kind of designed that and pulling together a bunch of like tropes and a bunch of ideas and inspiration. And this one, he just said, why don't you release it yourself at Joe Fest and I'll help you do it. And so this was the first one that came out and did really well. And he said, why don't you do more?
That's awesome.
Right on. He looks great. I mean,
Yeah.
for as
Let's take a
ridiculous
look.
as the idea is, he looks great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is the what he came with. He came with a ton of accessories. I think Fresh Monkey's always great at getting a bunch of accessories in there. It was early on when we hadn't really put out the jetpack on many figures, so got to use that. Bill kind of was interested in an alternate head, so we were coming up with maybe a masked head. I said at Joe Fest, like, I was picturing he's probably going to get like flies or geese in his mouth as he's flying. Otherwise, so, got to have something covering that. And then Bill Murphy was like, well, what if it's like a bullet drone or something that like he's controlling, but maybe he's not there. And that kind of opened up a whole bunch of stories. And whenever I'm kind of thinking about all these characters, and this is probably no different from anyone that does anything with toys, I'm thinking about it in terms of what inspires play and what would I want, and what if I do a bio card, what can I put in there that'll push someone to think of some sort of friction with another character, or have them want to create a story sort of involving those two things or expanding on it on their own. So I just started playing around with this, and I was really happy with kind of how it turned out.
We've got
Very
some
cool.
stats going on.
So let's see.
So I think, really early I wanted to play with I loved G.I. Joe growing up. So Larry Hama, the file cards played such a big role in making those toys fun. And Bill was also doing a ton of world building with his own line. So I started picturing who this character is, and thought of him kind of, actually, a lot of it came from Once Upon a Time in Mexico, the Johnny Depp character, who's like this like
Nice.
secret agent who, like go. He eventually goes blind and is like this blind gunfighter, and that's sort of that was the inspiration a little bit for. I was thinking this character is a flying bullet who's also losing his eyesight. So he's sort of like that blind samurai, but also, he has a jetpack and he's shooting people, and like that can't end well. So it just sort of inspired a lot of ridiculous ideas in my head. And then seeing Bill Nedrow here kind of breathe a lot of life into this character in the book. Has been awesome, because he's definitely legitimized the character, and he's picked up on a lot of, like, I'll mention one little thing and he'll suddenly make it make a lot more sense. And he's so I don't know, Bill, do you have any thoughts about this character that you want to share?
Well, something that I think you did brilliantly right away is redact some of that file card, right? Because that just begs imagination to step in. Right, there's something there. There's a mystery there. I want to know more about this character. I want to know what the story was, what the backstory is, how he got to be where he is. So in terms of file card writing, I think that was a brilliant approach.
Definitely. I like that whole idea of having a little bit of mystery that you're bringing work on, saying, well, what's that really saying?
Thanks.
An excellent choice for the Johnny Depp in that movie, because I like that movie a lot too.
It's underrated, right?
Yes,
It holds up.
Yes.
I remember seeing it for the first time, and it was right after my college girlfriend broke up with me, and I was like so depressed the whole time. And then the second time I watched that movie, I was like, oh, this movie's really good. Like, now that I'm not miserable, it's really good.
This is a really good shot of him.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is by @Billy Kessler or Eddie American, who has done like photos of every toy line, it seems like now, and is the nicest guy. I remember I actually sold something to him or bought something from him on eBay once, and we like somehow bonded over our names, and then I ended up talking to him online. I was like, you're the guy that I either bought or sold something from on eBay. Later we sort of figured it out, and then he's just so generous with his time and doing these shots, and they make it so cool. So this was sort of I was thinking I gotta do a villain for Bullet Man. I wanted to reuse that helmet. I was just thinking, like, what's like a cool Cayman rider, or just like this speed racer type look. This character was originally female, and we didn't have the part for a female character, but I'd done a custom of her, and so I was just kind of playing around with who this villain could be.
He photographs really well.
Yes.
Like not just the photographer, but the figure itself photographs well.
Thank you.
Because I guess that could have been interpreted both ways.
Well, Eddie makes anything look good. But this is what he came with. It's the masked head, like we were talking about, this unmasked head. So he's this like French or half French, half Chinese aristocrat. I loved the idea that he was someone who both came from like a place of privilege, but also might feel sort of like an outsider, mixed race, and that he leads a gang of anarchists, like French anarchists, that just like attack anyone that is in their airspace. So whether they're good, Joes or Cobra, whatever, they're going to attack you regardless. And they just want to destroy whatever you have. And they don't, for the most part, they don't want it. They just don't want you to have it. They just want to level the playing field. And they're sort of like the gremlin on the side of the plane that's just
nice.
making things bad for you. And I wanted to get it, as like a collector. I asked Bill, I was like, how many accessories can I put in here? And he's like, you could put a lot of accessories in there without it really hurting your bottom line. And because I'm not super savvy in terms of sales, I was like, yeah, let's get a lot of that in there.
Yeah, putting up sales. Way to go, making us want to buy 4 of them.
Yeah. Maybe I'm better at sales than I thought, actually.
Joe's about army building anyway, so hey, you want more than one.
Definitely.
I got like 5 Cobra Troopers and like 7 Bass.
This was Hasbro. They would release that figure 4 separate times with
Yep.
the different heads as like a different dude.
This is
Yep.
true.
Probably.
Another outstanding photo, and this whole crew right here. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh my god, yeah, I love this shot. It was so cool. I
There's a lot of
actually,
atmosphere with it.
I had pitched him a totally different shot, and I'm so glad he went with this. But I was kind of picturing, and I haven't told you this, Bill, because I don't think it necessarily works. But I was picturing them, like their hideout is in this abandoned mine, and I was picturing that all the sky pirates kind of sleep upside down, like Batman did in the first movie, like hanging by his ankles. So like, you know, Black Jet's tucked them all into sleep, and he's off to brood or take morphine for his cut or for his scar or something. But I gotta say, Bill, some of my favorite stuff that you in the book that you're working on right now is with like you've Black Jet is so cool in it, and you've made him such like a interesting, complex character that I am so glad that you sort of went, you know, full monkey into this character.
He's a lot of fun to write because he's just so unhinged, right? So it's so different than most other characters you'd get to write, and he's got some motivation that you can relate to, or maybe later we'll learn that you could relate to, but he just goes about doing things the wrong way. So yeah, he's been a lot of fun to write.
So
I'm glad.
that might help satisfy this comment earlier. I'd like to try and pry some details about the story from Bill.
Oh,
And then
We
he also mentioned the only thing I'd change is maybe a double shoulder holster.
oof, yeah, I would love that too. Noted, Zaymont. Noted.
Someone did mention for a Bullet Man about doing unless that was just the one that you mentioned about doing a double holster on like the straps.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's another shot. This is just a drawing. This is by Damian Navarro, who's this awesome artist that I've been really, really lucky to work with on a bunch of the art here. And he's just awesome. And so I had seen something that he had done of Wolverine's son Dakin that I really loved. And the more I see of his work, I think it's at Damian Navarro Art on Instagram. It's just like he's great. So I highly suggest people following that account. Bill, you skirted your answer. We can put it off a little longer if you want. To.
we showed Sidearm at Joe Fest, right?
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what was said at that panel. I don't want to give away too much, but I will say that yeah, there he is in the upper right-hand corner. So we alluded to the Bullet Man's kind of physical problems that he's undergoing and where he may be headed. And so that character really helped kind of shape the narrative a little bit so that we can kind of look at his quest for redemption, which he's on at the beginning of the story, and where he may end up by the end of the novel. And so maybe that's a bit of a mystery there, is who that character is, number 4 in the lineup there, and how that relates to Jody, and where Jody's going to end up in his quest to kind of become the hero that he has failed to be if we're looking at that file card that we saw earlier.
That's great. Yeah,
So there's your inside scoop for the story.
Yeah, trying to balance a kind of a good answer to that while not revealing too much, because we want people to kind of be excited but not kind of know where things are going.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, that file card shows him in kind of, anytime you're posing for your mugshot, you're kind of in a bad spot in your life, right? So he's one of the protagonists of this story, but he's not the hero he needs to be when we meet him. And he's got a lot of different influences kind of pulling it at him. It's not a story of just him versus Black Jet by any stretch of the imagination. There's a multifaceted kind of dynamic world that Ed has created that's pulling him in a lot of different directions, and he's got to kind of figure out which direction he needs to fly toward.
Makes it hard for him to focus on a hero when he's distracted by all these turmoils around him.
Yeah, if it's just a matter of hunting down Black Jet and defeating him, that kind of becomes kind of standard, fare. But with all these new characters that Ed has been kind of introducing and creating, it really provides multifaceted dynamic for him to kind of navigate his kind of heroic journey and becoming the character he wants to be. And of course he's running out of time, like Ed said. He's got this vision thing that means that he needs to make decisions correctly and quickly before it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot in there that if you want to actually go back for a second, we can talk about the Big Bad Toy Store just release date, just so because I'd be remiss if I didn't.
This one?
I think it's 2 back from that.
2 back? Okay.
But I did want to sort of say that I think that the book actually, there's a lot in it that actually has to do with sort of what we've been talking about on this live stream. I think there's a lot in it that has to do with like what we create together will always be better than what we kind of attempt to do by ourselves, and also sort of finding your place, figuring out who you are, what others see as a negative, you can sort of turn into a positive, or you might turn inward and it might fester in some way. And then also just a feeling of sort of equality versus superiority and entitlement. And, certainly that's something that I think that the toy community is a great example, at least our little niche of it, where, people are really trying to do right by each other. And, if you don't, you're sort of excommunicated pretty quickly.
Unfortunately.
If you don't follow through on your Kickstarter, you're gone. So I think that there's a lot in there that people relate to if they've connected with anything we're talking about.
Well, and one of the things that Ed did, like I said, before we started scripting out the novel, he created a Bible for this entire universe that they're creating. And he spelled out those themes and said that this is kind of, if stories are going to be told, these are kind of the messages that should underlie them. And that's been great because they're very organic to the world that they've been creating, but they've also served as kind of goalposts for me as a writer to kind of try to, without
really pull that emotion out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, just while we're on this slide, I'll just say, so I was never planning to re-release any of these figures. They were just sort of like a one-off thing. And because my ability to make figures and the sort of deals in place were very specific and I wouldn't say limited in a bad way, but very like, they had a scope. I didn't expect to be able to re-release Bullet Man or Black Jet, but Big Bad Workshop and Big Bad Toy Store are very generously going to be re-releasing both Black Jet and Bullet Man, as we were talking about. These are going to be coming probably before the end of the year, I would say. So they're going to go up for pre-order kind of, I would say, not too far away. I'm not quite sure when, but we're already starting on the box art and stuff like that, and talking to the factory about all those little changes to make. And then once, they already have the figures, like the original figures, so it's not a huge leap to get to making the final ones. And so I would say If you're interested in this toy line, if you're interested in getting these figures and maybe missed out on them before and don't want to pay money on eBay for it, pre-order them, because I think one thing that we are just talking about on His Tank is I think that a lot of people sort of think of the pre-orders for a lot of these bigger companies. It's like pre-order is sort of like you're reserving something. You might be able to get it later, but you're reserving it. Maybe you'll get it first. But like for these small lines, not only are we basically making them to order, with a few extra, it's dictating what we greenlight for future things. So, you do this so far ahead that, as this goes up for pre-order, we're checking how many pre-orders come up, and that's going to say whether, Eagle Force, Wave 3 they start sculpting it. So same with Eagle Force. World of Eagle Force Wave 2 just went on BigBadToyStore.com. It's awesome. A bunch of the figures were ones I worked on. And I'd say, like, if you're interested in that, pre-order early, because the sooner you do that, the more confidence it gives the creators, and it'll guarantee much more that the next line is going to come really, really soon and in a much better, more exciting way. Otherwise, we're sort of waiting for the next pre-order or putting it on ice, until things align later. Yeah, Jeff, pre-orders are the lifeblood for small toy companies. Yep. That's my little pitch. Sorry to get on a soapbox.
No, don't worry about it. I'm going to put my pre-order in now through you, and just let me know when I can do it through BPTS, because I definitely want one of each of these characters, because from those photos before, I would love to get them in front of my lens. They Light said it perfectly. They are very photogenic and they look amazing.
Just as an aside, I have to ask a follow-up question, and I believe it's private, so nobody else listen. Ed, okay. With that Eagle Force Wave, didn't you say that there's a figure I should order 2 of?
The Advocate. You should order 2 of the Advocate.
Which one's the Advocate?
He's the white tuxedo with the glowing green skull.
Do we want to say why?
Yes, I saw him, and I was like, yes.
Not yet.
Let me see him.
Okay.
So you got me at glowing green skull. I love green.
No. He was up on Instagram. I'll see if I can find it. Is he on your page? Your Instagram page?
I think I've seen a picture of him, but
not on mine. But if you go on Big Bad Workshop, it'll be on there. But yeah, he was one that I worked on with Bill, and then Hellion is named after me, and he was the first one that I pitched to Bill. He's like, it's an homage to a classic.
So I've got a question. And this isn't so much related to the toys. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but these use like a non-copyrighted characters now, like ones that are in public domain, correct?
A lot. Some of them are public domain characters, and some of them are sort of homages to them, or sort of pulling together different ideas of them.
Okay. So, like, I guess Bulletman, for example, since he, you mentioned him. So, can you copyright the materials that you've put into, like, the mythos or whatever? Because, like, people can use Steamboat Willie now, but they can't use any of Mickey Mouse's history after that yet because of the copyright. So, like, for a public domain person, like if you add on to their mythos or change anything, like how's that work?
Yeah.
It's kind of complicated. If something
he looks badass.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm back to the question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a copyright lawyer, but I would say that if something starts out in the copyright, that version of it, if something starts out and is public domain, that original version is in the public domain, and you can riff off of that. Certainly if another company takes it and then plays with it, that's their version that they might have copyrighted or trademarked or whatever they do with, that's theirs, and you need their permission to play with that. But with the public domain, there's a lot of wiggle room there, and certainly people have played with it. And sometimes you're also just playing with different tropes that are popular. Like for these figures, there's a lot of sort of homages in there because it's playing off of things around the era of the original Bulletman character that I thought played well together. And also I wanted to challenge myself on how I could introduce. Like there's a lot of patriotic stuff in this new wave, definitely, that was not my goal to do a patriotic toy line, but I was really curious how I could pull that off as someone who kind of like didn't have a specific affinity for that sort of style, but I just thought like these original characters back in the day were so interesting, and Uncle Sam, who I think was the next slide we were going to get to, but Uncle Sam showed up in all these old comics, and he doesn't really show up that much anymore, but he was in all the old ones. He was just like everywhere, and so I was like, I got to include this character somehow, and then how on earth would I make that character interesting in any way? So that sort of answered your question.
Yeah, I apologize, Fogger, for getting the term wrong, but yeah, I guess I kind of meant both, like
Yeah.
the design and the story or whatever, because But yes, you did answer the question.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I was pulling it out of my ass.
So yeah, the advocate, the negotiator. I'm very excited about this figure.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I snuck in. I insisted with Bill Murphy. I was like, he has to have a beret. And I kept putting it on him. And then he was like, no. And then on the Joe Fest display, I snuck the beret back on him. And I was like, did you notice? He's like, yeah, I noticed the beret. But it was a big win that he includes the beret. So.
And all your heads will fit on this body.
All my heads will fit on this body. It's so essentially Eagle Force, it's using the same parts library. And I know like we've used these parts a bunch of times. And so, and we'll talk about a little bit about how like this wave that's coming up, there's like good guy figure, a bad guy figure, and essentially like different variations of it. It's the same body for all of them. And that is almost strictly because I kind of had a deal that I could make two characters. And so I was like, how do I create a team with these two characters where it sort of feels organic and doesn't feel like as repetitive, but I can still create a story. But I think that if you're a fan of these figures, the next wave that Big Bad Workshop is planning involves a lot of new tooling. It involves female figures, it involves Dracula, it involves all this really cool new stuff. Dracula has a trench coat. So there's a lot of really cool parts that will be added that then can play with these different lines. So I would say if you're excited about them and you feel like, oh man, like we've kind of done these parts to death at this point, there's a reason for that. But also, if you look on the horizon, there's new parts.
Yeah. So
cool.
I need a Sterling Archer head for that touch.
Yeah.
Yes, I can definitely see that. Can we get a dot or ASP Riot Warheads?
Yeah, those were Eagle Force villains. The Warheads. Okay, so everyone always mixes this up, but I think it was the Riot Asps and then the Riot Warheads. I don't remember, or the Asp Warheads or but the Warheads had the same head as Blackjet and Bullet Man, and they were originally designed as this whole other group of characters called the Missile Men, with like a villain named Major Drag who was the leader, and they looked the same, but they were all in purple. And Bill kind of said, like, we need to do a new figure and it has to be in this blue color. So I retrofitted the design and turned them into the Warheads. But I don't know. That's totally up to Bill. I think a bunch of people have been asking on the Fresh Monkey page for the Warheads. So keep asking for that. They never were released carded, and I really would like them carded. So.
All right. So going back to you. Uncle cool. Sam Jr.
So, yeah, Bill, why don't you talk about this character first? Because I feel like you know him better than me. But then I'll weigh in.
He's interesting because at the same time, I'm trying to characterize him and make him a fully realized character, but he's also kind of the embodiment of an ideal, right? So writing that can be difficult because you don't want him to come off as hokey,
right,
or kind of in your face, preachy, over the top. So it's a lot of fun to create him as a character, as a person that you could have a conversation with. but still kind of let him be the kind of idealized representation that he is. And I think too that is kind of an interesting time that we're writing in, right, where there's a lot of interesting things going on in America. I think there's different Americas for different people. So finding things that we can all agree upon that he should represent is a fun thing to do. Because, like you said, one of the themes should be that these are similarities that can pull us together. By working together, that we can accomplish things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that should come through with his character as well.
Totally. I want to also point out that this is the same head as that mustached head on the Advocate.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, to answer this Jablong's question, well, one, I kind of think of the Eagle Force stuff as, sorry, my hairless cat is playing with me. I try to think of this stuff as sort of in the same like multiverse as Eagle Force, but not exactly the same. So I don't know how Bill is going to characterize the Uncle Sam that's in the next wave if we get enough pre-orders and stuff. But it is like that classic looking Uncle Sam, and the idea here was that I was thinking this Uncle Sam, it's the same Uncle Sam, but I think of Uncle Sam as sort of like he is the embodiment of the American spirit. He's this young upstart energy that you sort of started seeing during the Revolutionary period. He can't be killed, but he can sort of be weakened or regrow. And I was trying to think of him sort of like I said at Joe Fest, kind of like Groot, where he can be wounded, and then maybe he'll come back as a younger version of himself, and then sort of grow back up again. And he sort of always has white hair, even as a kid. So this is sort of like maybe like he looks sort of like mid-30s, early 40s or something, Uncle Sam. And they call him Uncle Sam Jr. just because he looks so young, and they're so used to thinking of him as old. But this is the same guy, and theoretically, he would turn into the one in the Eagle Force line at some point.
So he's like your Phoenix.
Yeah, for sure. And I was trying to think of it like, he's there to uphold like the saying, of the people, by the people, for the people. So it's against those who wish to take authoritarian control, and wants everyone to get the fair shake, and will sort of stand up for that.
And I'm playing with the idea too that a lot of people don't believe he is who he is, right? So there's always this kind of sense of like, well, we're supposed to take this guy for real. I mean, he certainly can't be the guy in the posters from hundreds of years ago.
Right.
So there's kind of a skepticism that surrounds his character, where people are kind of looking at him like, who is this kook?
Yeah. Like, are you really him, or are you just a knockoff of him?
Yep.
I definitely get Phoenix, like you said, Phoenix vibes with a little bit of Steve Rogers mixed in, like a man out of time.
Sure.
And the fact that Steve Rogers always, fights for, what's right, not the popular, but for what's right. Doing the right thing no matter how hard it is. So, yeah, this is definitely a character I like a lot.
This is I appreciate that. Thank you. This is the head is a factory paint test shot from the factory, making a few small tweaks, changing the skin tone slightly. It looked a little kind of gray there for some reason. That body is actually a second version that Matt LaCroix of LaCroix Toys did for me. He had done the Paint Masters originally, and then we sent them to the factory, and I wasn't sure if they'd come back in time. So this isn't from the factory, and so some of the details are a little different. We're sort of playing with the glossiness of the red, whether it'll be metallic at all, how shiny the gold can be, but this is sort of where it's at right now.
That metallic would be nice. That would look
good.
good.
No, it's a little, it's harder to make look good.
And durability and stuff,
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to chrome the shit out of this, but sorry.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Let's see.
What if you did like a heavy gloss on the red and
Yep.
then matte? Oh, is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm
Heavy-
trying next. I just asked him to
Okay.
do it. I took the metallic out of it and was just like, just do a heavy gloss just on the red, not the blue, just the red. Well, let's see how it looks.
And keep everything else like a matte. I think that
Yeah.
might give. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad
See
you.
that
I'm
patent
glad you
leather
suggest
look?
that, so I'm not crazy for thinking of that.
Yeah, no, I think it could work. Maybe if you go like a deeper red as well, it might give the impression of a metallic.
You know, I'm
Yeah.
kind of new at working within like the Pantone color space, and I really struggled finding like a Pantone that really matched the red that I wanted. So I feel like it's not going to get as kind of ruby crimson blood red as I wanted it to be, but I'm trying to release some of what I want it to be and just think let's go with that whole it's better if we work together and it doesn't have to be my vision, and I'll let that go. So this is Hanging Chad. If anyone didn't figure it out, these are all patriotic names or political names. I don't think Hanging Chad was a good thing. But this character is kind of interesting. He's, he is Mexican American. I think he's from Arizona. And I wanted to play with the idea. I was talking to Joseph Aquino, who Bullet Man's named after, who's another collector, and we were talking about how to flesh this character out. And one thing that we talked about was that I think this came from him was the idea that he sort of latched onto a feeling of national pride and attempted to distance himself from his background and his community for much of his youth, and then sort of spends his time kind of in between the two worlds and trying to find where his place is. And that takes him into an interesting line of work. And also he's the covert ops specialist and can sort of put on a different, personality, when needed.
The chameleon.
Did I sort of do that right, Bill?
I think so, and I'll throw out a little tease. I've just started to really write about these guys and get into their heads. So I will say he's the first Shield of Liberty to throw a punch in the novel.
Oh, cool! I didn't know
Nice.
that. I like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see at whom that is directed.
Awesome. Yes, that's correct about Hang Chad. There was a Hang Chad's spent. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I was just Hang Chad's. Back when I was in college, there was a Hang Chad incident that affected an election, and everyone on my campus was very, very passionate, depending on what side you were on, and thinking it was. I just thought it was a cool name. Also, I was like,
No, it's a cool name. I was just curious about like what it meant and
yeah.
interesting.
So I'll talk a little bit. Just so you're seeing all these figures that the same bodies, and the way they're going to be sold is in bags. They'll be marked with like. So Uncle Sam will come with all the gear that he needs, and then it'll be one body, but it'll also come with the gear to make Hanging Chad. So you have that body. You can make either character. You can't make both, but you can make either one. And then if you want to buy two of that bag, you can make both characters, and you'll have some stuff left over to melt if you want or light on fire. But this is a shot by Damian Navarro, and it's of Chad and Sam Jr., who is probably Sam Jr. because I loved James Bond Jr. for some reason as a kid, and just thought it was stupid, Uncle Sam Jr. And then also they have a robot Gold Eagle, which I'm really curious how Bill is going
I'm
to.
loving the Gold Eagle.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Next up, Glory.
So this is Glory. Glory is a sharpshooter with a crossbow. I feel like you get Bullet Man, you have to have a whole bunch of sharpshooters or people with jetpacks eventually. All these characters are civilians. And so Glory is their field commander and is Afro-Ecuadorian American and is a professor at Brooklyn College. is gay, has a husband, and is skilled at de-escalation, can make snap decisions while keeping sort of like the bigger picture in mind. They're a history professor. They're sort of able to guide the team on the ground and sort of help them keep things calm and organized. I guess while they're shooting people with a crossbow. I don't know.
Calm down, or I'm going to pin you to the wall.
Right. Hopefully they
ask a question?
de-escalate after they or before they shoot someone.
Yes.
What
So,
I'm
Bill,
noticing.
what era does the story take place, or will that spoil it?
No, I think we can speak to that. In my mind, right now, it's taking place about a year from now, and there's kind of a specific date that we're building toward. Now, Ed had just sent me a message a couple days ago that says we might have to rethink a little of that.
Just a little bit.
Okay, so we'll have to have that discussion, but I'm thinking at present time that it'll be next summer that the story will be set. And again, I'm shooting right now for that time period because I have a kind of a specific date in mind that the narrative is building towards. Modern, regardless of what has to change or stays the same.
Yeah, there's probably ways that we can make it work. We'll figure it out.
So on Glory, I was noticing like some like I don't know if that's armor pieces, but up around like on his shoulders and like his chest does he have like what is that?
So that's a vest that there's snaps on either side.
Okay.
And it just goes over like the same body that Uncle Sam has. So underneath he has the flag underneath that if you wanted to give him that look also.
Because
So that's
it's
just
an
kind of like
overlay
battle
piece.
armor.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was like getting mutated or something wild.
No mutation that I know of, but maybe malnutrition.
It's a scurvy.
Yeah, it's scurvy. These gold guns, yeah, you can use these gold guns for your gold Eagle Force figures for the people that are gold Eagle Force fans that have been clamoring for more gold. I'm giving you the gold. This is Sentinel. Sentinel is from the Tlingit tribe. He's a native from Yakutat, Alaska, kind of in the Panhandle. And is sort of more lighthearted than the others, but is the heavy weapons expert. Joseph Aquino kind of had the idea that he does live streams and is sort of more jovial than the others. And I was thinking, yeah, he's like more lighthearted, but they can be kind of oblivious when he's coming off as judgmental. And that sort of played into, I was thinking of Black Jet and being sort of aristocratic and kind of playing with the same trope from a different angle. But he's kind of spinning around that same theme. Bill, do you have a vision story? And Bill, that's a question for you.
I love working in comics and graphic novels.
Graphic novel.
So I would love to see that happen. The problem with investing in that medium is that you have to find an artist who's willing to do those stories, right?
Yeah.
So I would love to do some scripts. I'm having the time of my life playing in this world, and I've got plenty of other stories that could spin off from what I'm doing now. If someone were willing to invest in the art and the publication, sign me up. Yeah, I'll have a script ready in a month.
Well, the Big Bad Toy Store re-releases for Bullet Man and Black Jet both use the Monster Force boxes, which has a opening flap that has like a 5-panel mini comic on the inside of it.
Nice.
And so Bill has drafted scripts for them and definitely connect to these stories. And so if you'll get a little taste of the Bill Nedrow graphic novel there.
I've been teaching graphic novel creation at the college I work at the last 2 semesters. Every semester they produce a book. So maybe in the fall I'll just con them into
All right, class. Here's your final project.
Yeah, Yeah.
Each
So
one of
this
you
is
has a page.
This is sidearm. I felt like people would kill me if I didn't include a flying bullet-headed character in this wave after expecting it. Has kind of a bulky vest. I like the idea of it kind of being a little bit more tactical, but certainly if you are so inclined, you could take that vest off, and it does have that sort of Uncle Sam Jr. Body underneath, so you could give him a leaner look. There is most likely going to be a hole that we're adding to the back of that vest so that this will be the same red that Bullet Man will have for Big Bad Toy Store. So while he doesn't come, Sidearm doesn't come with a jetpack, you could add the jetpack from that figure, and it should work pretty well.
Nice.
Not to force you to buy another figure, but to force you to buy another figure.
Definitely.
I really like the use of the vest system because it changes the figures up without you having to tool so much new stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. It's really a lot of reuse, and I was kind of like staring at it enough that I was just trying to surprise myself, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy that you feel that way. This figure definitely has some paint issues that I see that is being corrected, but I think it came out the factory. This test shot came out better than I expected. There's definitely a few things that I was spending time a few days before Joe Fest gluing together and repainting and some details that are missing, but it's almost there, and I'm excited with how it turns out. I figured this one, maybe he flies without the jetpack.
Jet boots.
Yes, jet boots, other pulleys. I don't know.
Well, and for me, this is the intriguing one, right? Because like we said, we know who our protagonist is at the beginning of the novel and where he is. So what does this figure represent? Is it a replacement? Is it a successor? Is it, like who that character is and what that means for our original protagonist is kind of the question that got me starting to think about what I wanted to write.
Should we spoil it and say that the original one gets blown up and burned by a child that was playing with him in his yard?
With an M16.
Don't spoil it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. This is Party Line.
I'm reliving my childhood.
This is Party Line. I really liked their design. I liked the name because it reminded me both of the political, like towing the party line, and then also the 90s, you'd call there's like the party line you could call. So I thought that was fun. I thought this character is adopted. I wanted to have kind of pull some of that into this because I don't see that as much in characters. And I wanted a lot of representation in this line. They're Chinese American. They're a studio painter. They're someone who is creative both on and off the battlefield, so they might come up with solutions that others wouldn't. They're non-binary, and I thought that kind of played into the theme of sort of identity and sort of, like I said, kind of towing the line between two worlds, and this theme of sort of identity and acceptance that kind of comes into play. And I sort of figured, like, I don't see a lot of non-binary figures, and if I can't expect someone else to make it if I'm not going to make one. So I added that in there. There's someone that's trained by Uncle Sam who is taking a shine to them. And they're probably the most deadly of all the Shields of Liberty. So they're, like I said at Joe Fest, they're sort of like the Winter Soldier, except without having any powers. They're the ones that, are most skilled and will, crawl under the fence and take out the guards so that the rest of the team can come in. And they're very humorless but kind of funny in a way that, like, they're the youngest of the team and they're really acerbic and kind of grouchy, and they're humorless but they're kind of funny in the way that, like, your teenager is funny when they're pissed off, even though they don't feel it.
I've got 3 of those, so yeah. I know exactly what that is.
You know,
I also love the idea of like a commander that has hot pink hair. I just thought that was
Yeah.
also stupid, like I love the idea of them sort of emerging from the moat, like Apocalypse Now, but with the hot pink hair, and somehow they're
You got to be stylish in war. I'm just saying.
yeah.
You
And
got to be
here's I
stylish
love
in
this
war.
picture. They come with the same with sidearm, and this is like my favorite picture that Damien's done, and I kind of gave him a lot of liberty in crafting these, so he really gets the credit for it. But I was just like, this makes me want to play with these figures. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you have anything
definitely.
to add about that, Bill?
just that you've already informed me that they are your favorite character, and that's a lot of responsibility. So, like I said, I've just been introducing the Shields of Liberty and really getting to know them in the last chapter or two, and I was very cognizant of that as I was writing this character to really live up to that expectation.
Yeah, Mike. So they come with sidearm. So they're all it's one figure. So it's like sidearm comes with all sidearms gear, and then will come with the head and the vest and the gun. If you want to instead turn that character into party line, so you in that bag you'll get parts to make both figures. You'll have to choose which one, but you can decide. Michael Hefner. Yes, some of these will have magnets in their feet. The ones that make sense. Blackjet and Bulletman both did. And so some of these it might make sense for too.
Let's see. Okay, so party line is the alternate head.
Yes. Alternate head, alternate vest, alternate gun. Yes. And that's why you'll see that some of these characters don't come with a lot of gear. It's because they're packed with the parts for another character also. Sort of evens out.
I like that. I like that a lot because then you don't have to wait for another wave with the character you want, so you can just buy two and have a full team. I like that a lot.
100%.
Yep.
This is Dr. Ursa. Dr. Ursa is sort of like a mix between like Gus Fring and Dr. No, maybe? I don't know. Dr. Ursa owns a bunch of private prisons and has convinced the president to let him roll out a new robot soldier that will sort of be the counter to all these Shields of Liberty against all these superheroes. So Dr. Ursa sort of has authoritarian leanings and is trying to use their technology and their robots to sort of take control. And this has a cloth good robe that Urban Rev worked on, and it was great working with him. He's another person that I had parts of when I was years ago, and I was so grateful that he worked on this with me. And I felt like this character just oozed personality. Yeah, you could see Johnny Quest
vibes,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
And
I like the soft goods. I like that because I was wondering how it was gonna move or would be a traffic gun if it had like a plastic one. But I love this.
Oh, good. So yeah, I mean, and honestly, I'd say that so far, Dr. Ursa is my favorite character. The way that Bill has written him, and my interest in him has sort of grown exponentially the more that I've read, because he's so layered. I think you really like. I think everything that he does, there's like 6 things that I can, even because I kind of know where it's going. I'm like, oh my god, you're foreshadowing like 6 different things here in this one line. So he comes with. I accidentally labeled this guy incorrectly, but this is Agent Marlowe. He comes with these. So that body is what's underneath the robe. That bandana is removable. And he comes with an alternate head and a sniper rifle. He is Dr. Ursa's bodyguard and is kind of like this guy that got moved around into different squads when he was serving. And he's someone that just like kept getting moved around because he just creeped everyone out. And
he looks like a creep.
Theorist. And yeah, he's another one that it's been fun seeing how Bill's written him.
Well, I think it's a testament to that soft goods cape that I never would have thought initially that those were both on the same body. But it's cool that you can kind of disguise that and get two completely different figures out of it.
For sure. Oh, and you skipped one. You skipped one of the images, but it's for Dr. Upa and Marlowe's box or bag, and I pixelated it because I didn't want to spoil anything. But there's definitely more to Ursa than meets the eye, and definitely there'll be some extra accessories that come through.
Lizard people.
I'm not saying, I don't know. We're all lizard people, technically. So.
Crab people.
So this uses the same body, has a vest now added onto it, different accessories, different head. This is Yankee Doodle Jones. So Yankee Doodle is a public domain character, or plays off of a classic public domain character, which was also ridiculous. The whole character was that he, like a scientist, stitched together the dead body parts of like fallen veterans and like turned him into a superhero. So he's like a Frankenstein superhero.
Oh, and, I like
that. He looks just like a normal guy in the comic. I think there was like only a few comics that like he lasted. But someone at Joe Fest many years ago was like, have you heard of this character? He'd fit into Monster Force. And I was just thinking, like, he's a great counter to Uncle Sam. Like, he's the Uncle Sam that they've created, like, Ultraman or whatever, to counter him. And he's grotesque, and he plays So I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything about the book, but he's.
And we have this one.
So this is the final figure of the wave. This is also another favorite of mine. This is a Gold Star agent. So they're these government watchdogs that Dr. Ursa has gotten the president to let him roll out. They come with like a vest that has interchangeable parts, and I don't know, Bill. Anything on them? I'm not sure what to say about them exactly, other than I really like the design. It all kind of came from the design.
The design, I wasn't a big fan growing up, but was it Battlestar Galactica that had the Cylons with the red bio that I just love that little red slit staring out at you. So just really imposing, right? And
very intimidating.
Yeah. So the scene I have to write tomorrow is the first the first interaction with them that's not combat. So we'll start to get to see them on a ground level.
Cool. Yeah, I think we started kind of playing with this feeling of, good versus evil, and then sort of with Black Jet, there's some complexity in where he lands in that, and then with the Gold Star agents and Shields of Liberty, there's some complexity in who has jurisdiction over things, who is rightfully there to help, and who can help them. Yeah, can you tell us about the pixelated pic of Dr. Ursa? It's really pixelated, very pixelated. I would say maybe it's a 70% pixelation.
and focus.
And that is all you are getting.
Above the shoulders. I mean, we're really kind of centered right in that particular spot.
Yeah, I mean, actually, like the crotch area is also pixelated, but it's below the photo. So.
Very Sims-esque.
Yes.
So
this is the figure. Not to dodge the question, but this is the. I think you gotta have some surprises. I can't spoil everything now.
Nope.
It's like it'll be better if you wait. So this is the test shot. You'll notice that like the shoulder pads are supposed to be sort of a glossy red. They're not here. They will be. And also I think the blue is going to be a little closer to the blue that you saw previously in the slide, where it's a little closer to sort of a blue purple. So gonna play with that, but I think it's pretty close. I was kind of surprised they kind of nailed the head, and was really, really excited about that. You'll notice that this is a head that appeared in Monster Force in Crimson Dawn. I won't say which figure, but for fans of Monster Force, you'll recognize it. And I basically spend a lot of my time playing with that parts library and trying to entertain myself and find new ways to make those parts interesting while we wait for new tooling. And so this was one that I kind of came up with a year ago or something. It was going to be a different character, and I showed Bill and he liked it, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to use that.
Very cool.
And then this
final
is,
photo.
Yeah, this is the bag art by Damien of Yankee Doodle. Comes with the parts to also make the Gold Star Agent, and he nailed it. I was like, do whatever you want to do, and he crushed it. So
Good looking guy there.
oh yeah,
Zamo
That's awesome.
Zamo had a good recommendation in the chat.
put that head. Which head? Sorry.
The head for I
The
guess
extra
Ursa.
head.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that a reference?
Mystery bag.
Oh,
Just-
interesting. All right, I'll think about that.
I can think of two incidents that happened. Motu Classics did it with Horde Prime, and the Inspector Gadget toy line did it with Dr. Claw, where you couldn't see the head until you opened the box and bought the figure, which is really cool.
It's a good point. I mean, I could sell it still pixelated. I had not.
The pixelated square.
That would be
No, I mean, like
awesome.
the picture will give it away, but I do like the idea of it being a surprise. So, all right. Let me see if the factory can do black bags. Tiny, suspicious-looking black Ziploc bags.
Battery can maybe have them put it under the robe, head under the robe or something. It was, yeah.
So that's
Oh,
all.
yeah, that is.
I will say that when people open that black bag, they will be impressed.
Cool.
The
I'm
pixelation.
glad.
Yeah.
That head sculpt was sculpted by Headhunter Customs, the mystery head sculpt, and it's one that we sort of conceptualized together a while ago and Bill tooled, and then just has not been used. So it's a head that has not been used at all. And I was like, I'm using that first. And all these figures should be out. They'll be out probably by like November. So we're not doing a pre-order system for this. Like I said, pre-orders are really helpful. So which the downside here is that we're going to run out. So I can only create as many as, I have the cash flow to fund, because I have to pay for them as soon as they land, even before I sell them. And I'm guessing as to how many I'll be able to sell. They started out as Joe Fest exclusives. They were very small batch, and I knew I had a place to sell them. Now I don't. So now I'm selling them online through devilsbargaintoys.com. If you want heads up when they land, or when they're shipping from the factory to me, or you want me to just tell you about my day, then sign up on devilsbargaintoys.com on the mailing list, and that'll give you a heads up. But hopefully, if I can continue making toys, I'll probably use a pre-order system in the future, and that'll allow me to gauge what the market is and not run out as quickly, and make sure that I can meet that demand. I promise that I'm not doing a limited run so that people can charge eBay prices. That's not my goal. I would love everyone to get the toy. I certainly don't have enough black jets at the moment that I would like to play with, because I sold them. But that's the plan, and I hope that people like the idea. And I just set up this website, so feel free to email me. Some people already have talking about the line, talking about ideas they have. If they want to talk about the very limited information that I have about toy making, I will gladly give it all in a few sentences. But I appreciate all the interaction from people that have liked the line. It means a lot to me.
You definitely have a winner of line and a strong fan base from everything I've seen in the chat so far.
I appreciate
it. Again, the system you've come up with the same body types and keeping everything streamlined but being able to change the accessories and attachments to it to give you the extra characters, that's a brilliant system to come up with. And it kind of makes it easier, even though we want to buy 6 of everything. It does make it easier to army build with these, like building
Yeah,
up
thank
that
you.
whole Gold Star force.
I definitely was not. I wanted to sort of make sure that if you didn't want to buy all of them, you weren't forced to do that. You had some options there. And if I were to include all the gear, it would have just made the price tag way too expensive for what anyone wants to pay. So I appreciate you think that. And I think that once people read Bill's book, it's gonna garner even more excitement for the figures because it's certainly doing that for me as I read the drafts.
Definitely. And I'm very excited to read the storyline behind this. So, yeah. Let me know when that book is out and when these toys drop, because it's definitely going to be coming out of my paycheck to get everything I see on here.
Bill has promised me it'll be out by end of the week, I think.
If so,
yes,
it will
it's
end
open.
rather abruptly and not satisfactorily.
Yeah.
But I'm working hard. I'm hoping to have the first draft done by mid-August is my goal, to have the first draft done. So hopefully release dates will kind of line up, so there's some really good synergy between everything that they're putting together.
Awesome. Sounds very good.
I see Jabalong had a question also.
Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. The
Yeah,
BBTS wanting to. Yeah, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. You can.
Wanting to reissue the first 2 figures. Was there any talk to distribute the new wave through BBTS?
Short answer is no. There was no talk about that. I would say there's no plan for that, but it's not off the table. If the Bullet Man and Black Jet do well, that opens the door for them to say, can we do the other stuff? But it really depends on that. So we'll see, but it's not something that's planned at the moment. And certainly going through Big Bad Toy Store, there's a lot of pros for it, but it totally changes sort of the way that they're going to be sold and how the sort of profit margins that we have to figure out. So it's a very different thing. So it's not like an easy, we just segue, we just sort of shift over one step to selling it on Big Bad Toy Store. There's actually a lot of logistics to sort of figure out and work through for that to happen. But if anyone's going to do it, they'll do it. They're super generous, and I'd love to do that.
That'd be awesome. All right. So we've got some kind of sad news to go through before we get into the pictures. But before we do that, is there anything that you guys would like to put out that we haven't covered yet? Like more sneak peeks into the book, because I know everybody's been looking at that.
The full script of the book.
No, but I'd say thank you to all the interest that people have shown, and especially thank you to Ed for extending the opportunity to play in their sandbox. As you can see, he's created some really wonderful characters.
Yep.
If I wasn't doing this, I'd be going to bed at night dreaming of how I would play with those figures once I got them. So it's great that I have an outlet to tell those stories, and hopefully garner some interest for the line.
Thanks, Bill. Right back at you. And thank you guys for having us on the podcast.
Thank you for coming on. Hearing you guys' story, hearing the whole journey behind this line and behind both of you yourselves it's awesome. It's awesome seeing, people kind of working to get their dreams, and all of a sudden, surprise, here it is. So, unfortunately, the sad news that was brought to my attention earlier was that Jim Shooter has just passed away. One of Marvel Comics I guess you could say during the '80s he was probably the driving force behind Marvel Comics, and he really took that brand and took it to the different levels. From the late '70s. It's very sad to lose somebody in this community, but he had a great life. He had a great passion for the comics and for the characters and the stories, and so keep his family and friends in your hearts and prayers. He will be missed.
We talked about immortalizing people in fandoms, and in my mind, the fact that there's a shooter G.I. Joe figure, is part of his legacy from that first issue. So I don't know. I guess he'll live on that way in a sense.
Yep, definitely. In many people's collections, going forward. Plastic never dies. Unless you're me as a kid. Sorry. Don't let me have your toys. No, I take care of mine now. I have respect for them. But you guys are more than welcome to stay as we do these features. Or if I know, Ed, you said you had to get up early.
Yeah, I should probably run, unfortunately, but I really appreciate you guys and this opportunity. And gosh, that's really sad about Shooter. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't see that.
Thank you for coming on, Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming
and
on.
Bill,
And
both of y'all, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you all for having us. I should probably duck out too. My boss is going to yell at me if I don't get some writing done tomorrow.
I've already written you a stern email.
Yeah, with the HasLab revelation today, I might have spent a little more time away from the world than I should have. But
the Arctic cat.
I've got the next chapter planned out, so I'll be hard at work again tomorrow. And by the end of this week, my goal is to have half the draft done. So I'm working.
Excellent. Steady chugging through.
All right. Well,
So,
again,
gentlemen, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just going to say again, thank you for having us. It was 2 hours flew by incredibly fast because we're talking about things we love, and I thank you for giving us that opportunity.
And thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. And anytime that you guys want to send something out or promote it, just send it to our pages, and we will share it out to all the toy world and toy community that we know.
Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.
And
take care.
Yep. Have a good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. And then there was 3. So for everyone in the chat that's going to stick with us, we're going to look at some photos from the toy community. Please stick around and give the photographers and artists that you're about to see all of your love and support.
All right. So I think I missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Here we go.
3-hour stream tonight.
Maybe not quite that long, but pretty close. So, our first feature for the night.
I'm going to give
Vector's
detailed things
Shadow.
on every one of these. Vector Shadows.
And this was the photo that I chose.
Sheesh.
I
Okay,
love
Vector.
this.
This is great.
I love this.
Yeah. That's I love the light. Actually, I love the color grading on this.
Yep.
It's so desaturated, but so nice and gnarly. The lighting is impeccable. The way that perfect shot.
And just the way the shot was built up, this little, so simple,
Yeah,
it turns into something so dynamic.
It's like a Dollar Tree skeleton on a on a tree. Well, it's more impressive than a Dollar Tree skeleton, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's
No. It is really well done, really well put together. I love it.
It's incredible.
Love some undead, and this is perfect.
Detail is just phenomenal.
Just a second. I have to pull up our chat so I know which ones we are featuring.
You're good. I love the texture on this image and the
Yeah,
grain that
the
they added as
graininess.
well.
Yeah.
It gives it more of like an organic feeling to it. Orgasmic grain. Couldn't have said it better, Nico. Orgasmic grain.
grave. There it is. If I can find our chat. Yeah, screw it. We're just going to move on to the next one. I will figure out as we go. Next up is SH Figure Artist.
Oh, SH Figure Artist. Love this dude.
Okay, so tell me
So
which
very
picture you
helpful
use.
in the Go Figure photo feature.
I
chat.
think it's the go down. Because this is the one I picked, I believe. It's the one of Gambit leaning against the wall, I believe. I know one was mine. I picked from that, but let me see the page. It might be. I think this is the page. It might be near the very bottom of
It's
it.
got that crystal Optimus.
Hold on. I'll nail it down real quick.
All right, you nail it down. We'll talk about the picture we see. So that Ryu on the right-hand corner, at least I think that's Ryu. I really love the detail on that shot. The
The
lighting
lighting's perfect.
is really nice. I love like the subtle shadows and everything.
Yeah, it makes me think about the old screen where Ryu would be sitting there, you know, and there was like a shadow, like when he would. Yeah, I could totally see it. Like
It was the Gambit. There we go.
there we go.
There it
Yes,
is.
love this.
Okay, wait, hold on. This is messing with me a little bit. So
That was me too. That's why I picked it because I was like, he'll
So is
figure
this
it
a
out.
diorama, or I guess
It looks like a diorama, like him posted up near with a diorama, composited into
a real life photo?
real life photo, and it
That-
blends perfectly.
Yes.
It does blend perfectly. The lighting is on point.
Yep.
Yeah, that's wow.
Because when I seen it, that's what I was thinking. Like, okay, maybe that part's a diorama, and it's meshed together.
Because I know this is SH Fig Artist, so I know he wouldn't use AI. But after that last show we did, where we couldn't tell with these figures in like realistic locations, I'd be like, wow, incredible shot. This is awesome. And I love the effect on his card that you have. I don't know if that's like a piece that came with it, or if that looks like an effect that he added in afterwards.
What's that? The one in his hand?
The flame. It looks like it's an effect on top of the accessory, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely. It looks like it's enhanced.
Very nice. Good stuff.
Next
Everyone
up,
go follow SH Fig Artist.
Definitely is Figure Collectors United.
I mean, it's a simple shot of Commander Cody, but it's a well done shot. Not everything has to be super flashy. The lighting's really nice. The posing is great. It's telling a story. You know, he's about to go murder some younglings.
No, he's gonna shoot at Obi-Wan.
Jedi. Well, he's gonna shoot at Obi-Wan, but after that, he's gonna go kill the younglings.
He's gonna go take care of business. That's just
Execute Order 66.
Yeah, but excellent shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these figures are being marked down in some Walmarts. I've seen them online for like $15. Granted,
yeah, my Walmart had a bunch of
I
Count
can't find them.
Going to Walmart. Yeah,
But
awesome job.
My Walmart had like
a
a metric ton of Count Dooku's that they never put out, and then they just load them up.
Dude, my Walmart around me don't carry McFarlane's as much anymore unless it's in the electronics center, and they don't carry Marvel Legends anymore, and they certainly don't carry any of the Star Wars Black Series.
Mine has plenty of Black Series and some very few Legends and no G.I. Joes.
Yeah, mine has Star Wars, no McFarlane, no G.I. Joe, no Marvel Legends.
We got plenty of McFarlane at both of mine.
McFarlane everywhere. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So go check out
Figure
Figure
Collectors United.
Collectors Unlimited. Or
United.
United. Next up, we have Skull_Boy17. I
Skullboy's
love
another
it.
great photographer from
Yeah.
the GFPF page.
And
I mean,
Hellboy with the Ecto 1. That is just
so
brilliant.
I
Mhm.
do have some concerns about like the state of his back from crouching down inside the Ecto 1. However,
It's Hellboy. He's fine. He's fine.
it's a badass shot.
Yeah.
The lighting is perfect. I love the scene that he's got set up with the diorama.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's already went through a battle in that Ecto 1. You can tell with the suit and the sut or whatever. The black stuff on the front suit
Suit.
uh, suit.
Soot.
Okay.
Soot.
He ran over a
There we go.
ghost.
Soot. It just looks good. It's a great
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
I get 90s comic vibes from this.
Yeah.
Which one?
I get 90s comics vibes. Just
Yeah,
that
definitely.
whole atmosphere of it.
And speaking of DC, we have
This is what I
Kingdom
sent.
Kingdom Come Studios 52.
The plastic man with the hammer.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
epic.
That's what sold me on the sending this one.
Aquaman mourning the loss of his hand, just completely shit
I
faced.
thought he was blackout drunk.
I like Superman's trying to stop him.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add to this would be like Batman in the like the background, just with his hand on his face or something, just
It's like,
disappointed.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's
And
a great
Green
shot.
Arrow being sullen as always. That's perfect
This
Green Arrow right there.
I love how he
almost
captured the personality of them.
Yeah.
kind of looks like a riff off the Last Supper in a way.
I was going to
Kind
say that too.
Little
Now I
bit,
want
yeah.
Plastic Man in that painting.
except the Last Drink. Badum tisk, badum tisk.
Yeah, it looks like the Flash and Green Lantern have been going through quite a drinking spree right there.
Yeah, it's a great shot.
Yeah,
Very
excellent.
good use of big group shot.
I'm always impressed by group shots because I struggle at doing them like that, just having them all lined up and getting the proper posing and everything down.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Next up is Mr. Ryan Clark. I love the 3 versions of
I think that Spirit Spider was out. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that
would
guy,
get
that
the
guy's
Spirit
cool.
Spider if
It was a
wasn't
Walmart exclusive.
just a poor reuse of a figure, but it's a cool looking figure. I just wish they did more with it.
Yeah.
Well, I like what he did with the webbing and the flame.
You know what? That is a good. That's a
Yeah.
good touch. The thing I like is how he's got the gradient of fire in the
Yeah.
background. That's really cool, and it's an excellent shot.
I still need to get that Ghost Rider, and this just makes me want it
It's
even more.
it's a good one,
Here's
especially
behind the
if you
scenes of it.
do some
I'm a big Danny
modifications to
Ketch
the
fan.
bike
Mm.
and hit him with a real chain. Like I added a real chain to
Oh yeah,
mine.
definitely, 100%.
It takes it to the point where it was getting confused for like a Mezco Ghost Rider.
And I need that, and I need a new good, really good Punisher. So I've got a good Wolverine. Need him, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider together with my black
But
heart.
this is a fantastic shot. I like this. I dig it.
So go check out Mr. Ryan Clark. Let's throw him a follow right there. Come on, computer.
We're on a time crunch.
Instagram. Come on. Thank you. Next up, Neptune 3134.
Yes.
So this shot, just badass. I don't know why Neptune doesn't have more followers when when they're putting out shots like this. I mean, the detail, the grittiness, the atmosphere, the posing. I mean, everything about this shot is like on another level.
Yep.
And I think,
And it's the Mezco Popeye.
Yep.
and it's the Mezco Popeye. So if y'all are not following Neptune3134,
Neptune is on point, and he's got a great Mercari store because we featured him. I think this is the third time, and this is like the third time we've had. And I bought like 2 or 3 figures off of him. He's great. He does great
damn it, people,
photography. Yeah.
we featured him 3 times. If you haven't followed him
Yeah.
yet, just go do it.
Yes. Because when I seen you suggest this, I'm like, yes.
I mean, I figured we'd done him before, at least a couple times, but like, I'm scrolling
cranking
through
out
and
beautiful stuff.
exactly.
Amazing work.
Go follow
All right, so
him,
chat,
please.
your mission is let's go get this guy some more followers.
Yeah,
Yes.
I at least want to see him at like what's his follower count at, if I may ask?
Let's see. He is
386. Get this man
386.
or person to 500, please.
Yes.
We will
Yes.
look at him next week, and if he's not 500, I've got my eye
Yes.
on you, Chad.
And he's got
Yes.
he's got well, what's that? A lot of posts. 3,064 posts.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is honestly blasphemy. I mean, look at the quality of the 3 shots right here.
Yeah.
Like I might introduce this guy to the Amp Toys thing. Not that he needs to know how to take better photos, but like he is a talented photographer and he needs more exposure.
I believe we've done some work with Devil's Toys in the past. I am about 100% sure we've done some collabs for Devil's Toys together.
I mean, yeah. This is unreal. Go follow this dude. 500 followers by next week.
Let's do it. Is next 5280.
Making me want that skeleton warrior.
I think this was one I sent in.
Yes.
Well, the shot has excellent lighting and excellent diorama behind it. The posing, I mean, you can't get much more classic than like a withered warrior on his throne that died waiting for battle.
And
I get the vibes from the scene where Conan gets his sword.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
This
is Chrome.
It's a fantastic shot. This is
A1. I cannot wait for it. Again, that's the thing about these photos. They will always sell me on these figures. Like I was like, I might wait on that one, and then just something amazing like this. And it's like, I gotta buy one. I need one.
FOMO.
Next up.
Hey, you did to me that Mickey.
Visualize
more. Think, show me a soda.
Did I send this one?
No, this was me, I think.
You, okay. I love the use of the what's-her-face from Marvel Legends. She makes a great big
Moira.
Yep, I've got one of her, and I've used her several times. Because those removable arms come in handy when you want to have someone's arm pulled off.
No, she's like a 2-in-1 figure. You can have a scientist or a basic whatever. And she's got a couple different head sculpts. And the shot, though, let's get away from the figure. The shot has like screams ambiance.
Yes.
I mean, the way that you can only see half of Jason, but it's part 7 Jason.
Yep.
The panic in the character's eyes underneath the pier. I mean, it's an excellent shot. The reflection in the water.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
The lights in the background too. The whole background's great too. I can hear the boards creaking. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the different versions that we get from black and white to this full color to the more muted colors to just the highlights being really presented there. It's really, really good. I love it.
Yeah.
So go check out Visualize More. Next up, let's see. This was a dual pick by you guys.
Oh yeah, I know what it is. Yep.
Here it is.
Did we pick the exact same? I think I picked a different one.
You picked the one of Como, and I picked this because I really love this battle setup. Yep, Vedras is still my favorite one so far that I have of them. I
So
love this.
when Stell joined up in the collab group, he was like, "Oh, he was kind of hesitant on his photos. Dude, he does a marvelous job with his shots.
Yes, I
He
looked at his
does.
kills it
gallery.
with his
Yes,
shots.
It's excellent.
Every time he does a shot, I'm like thoroughly impressed with what he's done
yes.
with the characters and the figures and his imagination behind behind his shots and the different themes each week. But yeah, definitely go check out Greek_Stelioso. Let's see. I think this is our last one.
Oh yeah. Is that
And
Fernando or Fernando? Fernando. Okay.
Shava.Fernando. There it
So,
is.
I
Oh, I
I
love this
couldn't
so much.
resist choosing this photo because he the Spider Ham figure has no articulation, no posability, and that Peppa Pig, I can guarantee you, also has the exact same no
Swivel head and
posability.
swivel arms.
How would you know that?
Don't worry about it.
He only has like
But
6 of them.
I
He
have a
only
friend.
builds
I'll put it
Peppa
like that.
Pig.
I had a friend who was into these.
anyway, the lighting is amazing. The way that he's worked with the limitations of the figures is incredible. The editing is on point. Um, it's a 10 out of 10 photo.
The
And my
water
favorite
effects and
part,
how it blends in with the real and the like
Yeah.
the filter part and the real water drops he has on the figures.
yeah.
How it all blends together so well. It's awesome.
And my
It's
favorite part is his hands are on his hips. So what's he
Yes,
hanging with?
it doesn't matter. Spider Pig, or Spider Ham. He's good. He's good no matter what. But yeah, excellent work. Excellent work from everybody we featured tonight.
Yeah.
Just still in chat or catching the rerun. Be sure to go
we
check
got like
them out.
11 people in chat still, or 11 people watching still.
Wow! Thank you all for
Yeah.
staying. That's
So much.
awesome.
Because I have an announcement at the end, which you guys know what it is already.
Okay, well, go ahead
I'll
and
go
make your
last.
announcement because it's
No,
almost bedtime.
so you guys can go ahead and go first. I'll close out like I usually do.
Okay, I'll go.
Yep.
You can find me on my main account. It's listed here, lights.camera.actionfigures. Or if you want to join a collab group that is fun, you can follow me at at amp_toys. We're currently about to wrap up the pop art collab, which I've been
Wait,
super
single
excited for.
underscore or double underscore?
It's a double underscore because the single underscore was already taken. So, um, yeah, Amp Toys, it's a great collab group. Everyone's there to help, people become better at doing different types of photography and break out of their comfort zones. And join now because we're going back through the collab themes that we started the year with. We're at the halfway point. We're going to be doing all the collab themes over again and seeing how people have advanced since starting it. So do that. Oh, and catch me and maybe Gold Member Fridays on Nostalgia Bait, where we jerk off your nostalgia. We'll be covering the Blair Witch marketing.
Awesome. All right, Gold, your turn.
So the usual, follow Gold Member 150 and the Devil's Toys with a Z. Again, horror collab group. It's kind of evolving into anything. We're currently running the crossover_devils theme. I think that's going to either go till the 5th or the 6th, but there's still time to jump on that. But the biggest announcement is, and like I said, both of you know it, I'm returning to YouTube to do reviews. Now, I bet, and a few people in the Devil's Toys channel are already pretty positive about it and pretty happy. Again, the link to that, I don't know if you've added to your link tree yet, but it's on my Instagram.
It'll get on that.
It's on my Instagram page. The first update videos up tomorrow or the next day. I'll probably upload the little teaser thing that just shows my new intro. And then I'm waiting for some supplies to come in and should be getting to reviewing stuff.
Awesome.
And that's it. My style is basically just keeping it under like 10 minutes if possible. Really fast, giving you proper size comparisons with NECA and McFarlane and Hasbro and maybe Mythic. Just, you know what I mean? Like, just giving you that idea and maybe reviewing figures that don't have videos on YouTube like I did back in the day for my McFarlane Fat Bastard.
Very
So,
cool.
yeah. Looking forward to doing it again. I'm grateful both of you guys got me into it by doing this show. Because I have not uploaded in 5 years on there, and it's going to be so nice to just start doing something fun again.
Oh, yeah. So, gentlemen, we also have another show tomorrow. Devils and Ravens. We will be joined by Lilith Stabs.
Yeah.
And we will be discussing everything horror and her illustrious career. We also, let's see, what else? Oh, my God. So I am also going to be on the Weekly Habit next week, I believe, next Wednesday. I'll be joining Cobra Dad and Tony Open Toy Box. Man, I always have a hard time saying his name, but yep, I'll be joining them next Wednesday. Then I will be on Latin Legions on the 13th, celebrating Ed's birthday. Let's go! And then again, catch us every Monday, 9 p.m.
On Tuesday.
And starting July, every Tuesday with
That's tomorrow,
and
buddy.
Ravens. Wow, yeah, it starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
So running 2 times a week. The next episode of Tales from the Crucible should be up this Saturday as well. And if not this Saturday, following Saturday, because me and Jason's have been kind of busy running things and stuff. But everything that you want to know about Savage Crucible and more, tune in on Saturdays. We will also be doing a giveaway celebrating 1 year of doing Savage Crucible Saturdays.
Oh.
So it's actually been over a year doing that collab consistently for every wave that comes out, and we're going to be taking a look at Joe Fest 2025 and Wave 2 from Savage Crucible. Very excited about that. I also got a Collegiate Legend figure that I want to kind of throw in there too, because those things. I mean, if you're a sports fanatic and a fan of like college football, they have a huge lineup dropping this fall. You know, in the summer. I mean, so many teams. I think 15 teams have been announced. So be on the lookout for that. And as always, go to my link tree, check it out. Every show that you can imagine under the sun, there are links on there. There are also links to every toy brand that we talk about on here, from BBTS, Savage Crucible, Mythic Legions, everybody. But yeah, and then kind of a secret announcement, big announcement, but I'm not sure if I can say anything, so I'm just going to put it out this way. One of our favorite shows might be coming back here soon in a couple weeks. So take it how it is.
Are you talking about the one I think you're talking about?
I believe I am talking about the one you're thinking about.
The one that I'm also a part of?
Which one? No, that one too, though. Yeah. Not we're going to be doing another knockout.
Oh, the other show.
The other show. The other show.
Okay.
Yes. Not
The
our
one
show,
we've been
but the
teasing
other
for like
show.
a year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So very excited to see my Sundays fulfilled again.
Well, now you just spoiled it. Might as well go ahead and say it.
What? Latin Legions, it's great.
Yeah, because everyone says a lazy Sunday with the boys.
Every show you imagine is on there.
Lazy
Weekly
Latin
Habit,
Legion Sunday with the boys.
Aware the Addiction, Toy Mercs Live. Oh, Toy Mercs. Legions
6K
Magazine.
Yeah.
This is up. Issue 2 is up for pre-order.
Damn, I
now.
should have plugged that. I wrote an article with the designer for Axie Toys, the people that make the creepy Mickey Mouse and the
Yes.
Dinosaur Warriors.
Dinosaur
Go buy
Battlefield.
that issue so you can read about Alvin Yu. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It was a written interview type of deal. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so head over to
LatinLegions.com.
legionsmagazine.com.
Not Latin Legions. Damn, I'm just gonna shut up. Here.
Head over to
It's been a long 2 hours.
Put your and get your pre-orders in for that. Pre-order in for that now. Other than that, I am tired. You guys are tired. We lost Lights. He's crashed out. Thanks everybody for joining us. Again, go check out all those pages we featured and everybody else. If you guys have suggestions or want to see or know of people that you want to see get for us put out there and give them some love, send it our way. Other than that, everybody have a good night. Remember, hit that like, hit that share, and hit that subscribe button. Have a good night.
Thank you.